Meeting of the Norwood Board of Selectmen. Today is Thursday, March 22nd, 2018. Let the record show the full members are present, and along with Town Manager Michael Units. Michael Flaherty cannot make it tonight. Pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we have a 7:15 hearing. Anything under announcements, Mr. Alvo?
Mr. Chairman, I couldn't find anything. Just, no.
Bramwell?
I have nothing.
Mr. Steele? We have a notice from the Massachusetts Registry of Motor Vehicles will be closed for several days. The registry services will be unavailable from 7 p.m. March 22nd, that's today, until March 26th at 8 a.m. The RMV is transforming its business processes and replacing its mainframe computer system with new modern technology to deliver exceptional customer service for residents and businesses. So I think that's the only one I have. Okay. Actually, Chief Clark, you want to come on up? I'm going to skip a couple things here, and we'll take care of police officer appointments and civilian police advocate. Right?
Sure. Thank you.
Chief?
If we could have the appointments first.
Sure.
So in this year's budget, we had budgeted for one new position, and one of our recruits from last year didn't make it through the academy and was dismissed in August. And then we had a retirement, making 3 openings. So I'd like to introduce Jesse Anderson, Sean Worrell, and Cam Eisner. They have all successfully completed oral board interviews, background investigations, medical and psychological, along with a physical fitness evaluation. Mr. Anderson holds a bachelor's degree from Boston University and is currently enrolled in a master's program. He is also a second lieutenant with the Massachusetts Army National Guard. Sean Worrell holds a bachelor's degree from Bridgewater State University. He has recently completed the Reserve Intermittent Academy as prescribed by the MPTC for part-time police officers. And Cameron Eisner, as you might remember, he has a bachelor's degree from Bridgewater State University, and he has also completed the Reserve Intermittent Academy, and he is currently a special police officer and has been since May of 2017. The appointment that I ask is to be effective April 2nd, which will start the police academy, which will be at the State Police Municipal Academy in New Braintree. It'll be a live-in academy. It's the first time since I think since Cam's father that's been to a live-in academy at the State Police Academy. These guys kind of also have a unique background as well. They all have family in law enforcement. Jesse's brother is a police officer in Canton. Sean's brother, John, is a police officer here in Norton. Of course, Cam is Sergeant Eisner's son. So I sent their resumes, and have any questions. They'll get out of the academy September 14th.
Okay. You know, again, it's another example of the great police force we have here in town. I read recently that we're still considered one of the safest communities in Massachusetts, right?
Yeah, I think we moved up to number 3.
Okay, we'll accept that. But obviously, this is an extension of why we're so good. You know, you qualify candidates in to do the job. So this is great. We have some public hearing notices. You can read.
Yes.
Going.
Thank you.
So public.
At this time, this is a notice to the Board of Selectmen from Michael D. Units, Town Manager. Date March 21st, 2018. Notice of appointment of a full-time civil service police officer. I hereby notify the Board of Selectmen that in accordance with the provisions of Article 4, Section 2B of the Norton Charter, acting in my capacity as appointing authority, I have appointed the following individual for a full-time civil service police officer: Sean D. Worrell. Said appointment made on March 21st, 2018, in accordance with the provisions of Norton Charter, and be effected on April 2nd, 2018, unless the Board of Selectmen votes to accept or reject this appointment on this said date. However, I especially request this Board to accept this appointment on the effective date of April 2nd, 2018.
Motion, have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, next one.
Mr. Chairman, notice to the Board of Selectmen from Michael D. Units, Town Manager, date March 21st, 2018, notice of appointment of a full-time civil service police officer. I hereby notify the Board of Selectmen that according with the provisions of Article 4, Section 2B of the Norton Charter, acting in my capacity as the appointing authority, I have appointed the following individual a full-time civil service police officer, Cameron Eisner. Said appointment was made on March 21st, 2018, in accordance with the provisions of the Norton Charter and effective on April 2nd, 2018, unless the Board of Selectmen votes to accept or reject the appointment prior to said date. However, I specifically request this board to accept the appointment effective date of April 2nd, 2018.
Motion and second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Mr. Silva?
Mr. Chairman, notice to the Board of Selectmen from Michael D. Units, Town Manager, date March 21st, 2018. Notice of appointment of a full-time civil service police officer. I hereby notify the Board of Selectmen that, in accordance with the provisions of Article 4, Section 2B of the Norton Charter, acting in my capacity as the appointing authority, I have appointed the following individual as a full-time civil service police officer, Jesse E. Anderson. Said appointment was made on March 21st, 2018, in accordance with the provisions of the Norton Charter and will be effected on April 2nd, 2018, unless the Board of Selectmen vote to accept or reject the appointment prior to said date. However, I specifically request this board to accept this appointment on the effective date of April 2nd, 2018.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, Chief.
All
We
right.
congratulate the three
I'm gonna
gentlemen
make it through
for
the academy.
stepping forward.
Did he say Living Academy from
Yeah, that's what I
April
heard.
to September?
You need to behave yourself, okay? Congratulations.
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 You're welcome. Congratulations. Ron Barrow said hi. Congratulations.
Okay, Chief, you got something else?
So I wanted to introduce Lori Williams, who's our new civilian police advocate, to the board. Maybe to talk about a little bit about how she came to us and what she's going to be doing. So we entered into a grant with the District Attorney's Office in New Hope and part of the grant will be kind of twofold. There'll be some training regarding domestic violence, sexual assault type of training, and there'll also be the civilian police advocate end of things, which will be following up on a whole variety of different calls for service that might lead to domestic violence situation. Obviously, Norton's not immune to it. We've had, in recent years, we've had 2 domestic violence murders that have happened. One most recently, just a couple of years ago, and one was the Khan case before that. So we all know too well on how these things can happen. Lori's at our station 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. She has office space there. She goes through our computers, checks our logs, and contacts victims. So maybe I can just have Lori talk a little bit about her experience and what she's going to be doing.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hello.
So my name is Lori Williams, and I am an employee of New Hope. Like the chief was saying, we are in collaboration through a grant that was written, a little bit complicated, written by the DA's office in conjunction with the Women's Center of New Bedford, and the grant was handed down from the Department of Justice. Prior to this grant, which is very, very new, just in January, I've been the civilian police advocate over at the North Attleboro Police Department for a few years now. With the grant, I received a promotion to senior civilian police advocate, and we are now New Hope. So there's a few agencies involved, but for New Hope itself, which Norton is New Hope's catchment area for domestic violence and sexual assault, we now have 10 police departments. So we jumped from 2 to 10 police departments in a short time, and I'm overseeing that program. Even though I'm over at the Norton Police Department just 5 hours a week, I'm available 35. So I work in 4 different PDs. I'm in the Taunton Police Department, Rainham, Mansfield, and then Norton. And what my role basically is, like the chief said, is I come into the PD and I review the police reports, and by phone, typically, I reach out to people who have been victimized by domestic violence. And the goal there is, first of all, to see how that person is doing, talk about safety and safety concerns and safety planning, and then be able to meet that person where they are and hopefully supply them with some resources that will help them to make positive change in their lives. In addition to that, I'm there for the police officers as well. It's not an easy role to play, right? And we know that oftentimes in domestic violence, there's multiple calls to the same houses, and it's the most dangerous call for police officers to respond to. We've been seeing a lot of that in the news lately across the country. And so I'm there for a resource for them to support them and just answer any questions that they might have. That's about it in a nutshell. It's a lot, but it can be explained pretty briefly. If there's any questions, any thoughts about it, I'm more than happy to answer anything that you might have.
Well, I think it's wonderful we have someone here, presence here in town, because it's, as you said, these police officers are out there and they kind of know where the hot spots are. Is that something where you would work with them and go and speak to that person personally, or would you invite them in? How would you handle that?
Yes, so most contact is made by phone initially, and then again, depending on each client's needs, they can come into the police station. Sometimes I'll meet them over at New Hope. Just recently over in Taunton, I was called over to the DA's office to support someone that was having a really difficult time testifying. So I was able to, build a relationship with that particular person and be able to do some planning around how she could possibly get through that testimony. So again, it really is very dependent on them. In this grant, unfortunately, I can't go to people's houses, and that's dependent on the grant. I could in the other PDs, but it was a different grant. So they all have different requirements to meet. However, we work around that, And again, if the client's not comfortable coming to the PD, then we can make arrangements to meet somewhere else in the community.
New Hope's been around quite a while, right?
We've had a domestic violence officer for a number of years, and they do follow-ups regularly. This is a lot deeper. It's a lot, looking at a lot different calls for service, including harassment and other cases. But Lori has a lot of confidentiality with her that people feel more comfortable with as well. So.
Right. So there's actually Massachusetts Law 23320K is the law that we're governed by for confidentiality. And we have found over time, and studies have shown, that having an advocate with that level of confidentiality can help a victim be able to build a relationship, knowing that, barring mandated reporting, of course, that we can speak confidentially, and law enforcement isn't involved until the point that they feel they're safe to do so.
Okay, great. Anyway. Well, thank you for this. I mean, this is a great extension again of the police department. So, and it's wonderful we have our own advocate in town. So that's a good thing. So
this is a 3-year grant as well. So
that's nice.
With us for
Very good.
3 years.
Well,
somebody
feel free to come back once in a while and give us some updates. And
oh yeah,
let us know
absolutely.
what's going on.
Anytime. And like you said, 3-year grant, but Attleboro in this area has been the longest now, and typically it runs on 3 years, but they're going into over 15 years
wow.
now.
Good.
So it's been a while.
Right.
And I have some resources here that I left if anybody's interested in them. Unfortunately, my business cards haven't come in yet, so next time.
Sounds great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything? Go ahead.
While the chief's here, if he could just talk a little bit about the safety meeting that was held yesterday.
So, I mean, yearly and on a regular basis, we conduct training and we have meetings and discussions with a whole bunch of different groups regarding active shooter type of preparedness. And yesterday we held a tabletop with the fire department, the police department, emergency management, and the town manager and our dispatches, just going over some possible scenarios and having just a general discussion. I think this has been going on for quite a while, and I always reference that after Columbine happened, our police tactics have changed. But in the past recent years, say 1 or 2 years, there's been more of a push to get the fire departments more involved and to bring them into a what's called a warm zone versus just having them stay outside so that we can get victims' attention quicker. So we had, a good tabletop yesterday. It was, a few hours long, just, going through different, what happens here and having the overall discussion of, what expectations are, what the police are going to do with the fire, what dispatchers think in emergency management. And, we've come up with some bullet points that we'll share, amongst our groups if to get better with this. We are planning a training in April with the fire department. We did the same thing last year. We did a training over at Wheaton College last year involving Wheaton College and the fire department. So it's something, certainly after Parkland, I think it's been on everybody's mind. So.
Okay, great. Well, I'm glad you're staying on top of it. That's good. Good. Anyone? Question?
No, I think it's a great idea.
Great idea. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have a 7:15 hearing on the application of 336 Toth LLC, DBA Norton Tavern. You have that notice,
Yes.
Mr. Salvo?
This time it was to the Audible Sun, to the Legal Department, dated February 26, 2018. Notice of a public hearing. The Board of Selectmen of the Town of Norton will conduct a public hearing on an application of 336 Tooth LLC, DBA Norton Tavern on the Hill, manager Cheryl J. Lutz, for the common vicular license to expose, keep for sale, or sell all kinds of alcohol beverages to be drunk on the premises at 336 Old Colony Road, Norton, Mass. 02766. Said hearing will be held Thursday, March 22nd, 2018, at 7:15 p.m. in Norton Selectmen's Meeting Room, Norton Municipal Center, 70 East Main Street, Norton, Mass. 02766, in accordance with the Chapter 138 of Massachusetts General Laws. And this was run in the paper, Mr. Chairman, on Monday, February 26th, and it's been confirmed receipts of this ad.
Thank you. Attorney Souza, how are you?
I'm very well, Mr. Kimball.
Good, good.
Good evening to the board members. In case there's anybody that's forgotten who I am, my name is Henry Souza. I'm an attorney with offices here in Norton at 248 West Main Street, and I'm here tonight on behalf of Cheryl Lutz, Paul Flabat, and William Lynch, who propose to operate what many of us will always think of as Bristol Farms, but they were proposed to operate it as Tavern on the Hill, assuming I can convince you folks to provide them with the necessary licenses. You may have, I don't recall if we submitted a sample menu
Yes, it's on the
along.
application. in the
You
back.
have it with the application, good. But my client's proposal here with regards to the food service is to initially, in addition to a relatively short list of appetizers and entrees, they're planning on offering a lot of blackboard specials on a daily basis, and as they find out what's popular and what is not, they plan to incorporate them into a growing menu. Serves a couple of purposes. Initially, getting started here, you avoid the cost of long menus that need to be changed not too long after opening, whatnot, and it's probably wise not to attempt a 5-page menu when you're getting started. But Ms. Lutz in particular has many years of experience as a bartender. She's TIP certified. I have copies of her TIP certification here with me. And they just want to operate a very simple local establishment. I do know that with prior operations, which are completely unconnected with my clients, that there was some concern about noise and hours And my clients are proposing that their business hours, dispensing hours, if you will, be from 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. on weekdays and from 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday. They're contemplating weekend brunches or perhaps just a Sunday brunch, but they're thinking they might catch a later breakfast crowd on the weekends. I would hope that you'll tell me that you found the application package complete and in proper order.
Is it all set, Mr.?
Yes.
Everything's all set? All sign-offs have been done?
Yes.
Anyone have any questions? Mr. Burnwell?
As a group, have they run restaurants themselves or just been in the food service industry, or?
Well, Cheryl, I know, has been a bartender and is a bartender now at another establishment. I think Paul has had many years of experience as a bartender as well.
I put myself through school. I've done everything since I was 11 years old, from washing dishes, busboy, prep line cook, server, bartender, barback, etc. I currently work for Jordan's Furniture. I'm the web manager. And this is an excursion I've wanted my entire life. I was fortunate enough to be asked to jump in with this, and I think we could really bring something to the community to be really positive.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, it's just where it was Bristol Farms for so long. It's been like a revolving door up there, and that's why I was asking for if anyone had background, just to hopefully open a good establishment that actually is established and
Absolutely.
is there more than a couple of years and creates a clientele. And I'm just interested in their history. That was it.
Well, I think that's part of their strategy of starting off slow and working themselves into a winning menu. Lots of new businesses. And boy, you know, since I hung my shingle in this town in 1981, I have seen a lot of businesses come and go. And sometimes people try to start out too big. The people today seem to think that you have to make a giant splash to go into business. And whether it's taking care of clients or taking care of customers, the thing that you need to do is to make people feel welcome, and you have to give them good service. And I think if you do that, you'll prosper and grow. And there is one other thing that I wanted to address, because I see Mr. O'Reilly was here. There he is. I know that the O'Reillys had concerns about the last folks who operated at this restaurant about creating noise. And what I wanted to assure the board, as my clients have assured me, is that while they do want to be able to serve alcohol on the back patio, they guarantee this board there will be no music piped out there, there will be no live entertainment out there, and there will not even be a big screen television blaring away. It just provides an opportunity in the summertime for people who don't want air conditioning, and there are some of those folks. I wouldn't be one of them, but there are some of those folks. And there are folks who like to be outside to enjoy tobacco. And I understand from having been at the establishment as previously operated, there was sometimes a cloud of smoke out front that everybody had to pass through. And your applicants tonight want to create a situation where there's no smoking allowed in front of the building. People shouldn't have to pass through a cloud of smoke to get into a restaurant. And that's part of the strategy here, part of the reason that the patio then becomes necessary. A designated smoking area, if you will.
Mr. Steele?
Congratulations on starting this venture, and good luck to you. I know I probably speak for the board when I say we really do wish you success, because it would be nice if that building would get some traction and stay around for a while. From my perspective on the board, it's always an issue when you have a bar coming into a neighborhood and it's pretty much a residential neighborhood. So it seems as if Attorney Souza has addressed most of the issues that we probably would have asked you about. But just so that you know, it is really important for us that you have a good relationship with the neighbors. Families over there trying to put kids to bed, maybe older people trying to get to bed. If you're just cognizant of the neighbors across the water, we would appreciate that, because it would be nice if we don't have any complaints about noise. And the other thing is, just as you're getting into this, I know you're TIP certified. We're a college town. We really take our alcohol licenses pretty seriously. So we really hope that you will take yours as seriously.
Absolutely.
And beyond that, I just wish you all the luck.
We're very pro-business in this town, but we also understand we have certain responsibilities when it comes to licenses, and we have a very tough policy. We don't like to call anyone in on it. It's been a while since we had to have a couple come in, but for years, because it's so tough, we want you to understand it's just something, it's very basic and it's easy to follow. Just ID everybody, and you won't have a problem. That's basically what it boils down to. You guys have been doing a lot of renovations in it. Can you tell us a bit about what you did? I mean, what improvements you made on the building?
Did you bring the pictures?
I have some of the pictures, if you don't mind sharing my phone.
Phone back.
I actually,
Watch out for the cord.
I apologize. We tried to print
Watch
these.
that cord when you...
We want to make sure that the stigma of the old ownership is wiped out when you walk into our place. People feel welcome and really enjoy what we've put forth.
Okay. Yeah, I think, been a retailer for 100 years, and I understand starting off small,
Good
and
job.
I have the cord.
listening to your customers. And that's the right thing to do. You try to listen to what their requests are and what their needs are, and it kind of makes sense to start small and grow from that point. I do have a question. What's a New York chicken?
Spidey, that's actually a chicken skewer. It's a chicken cut up on a skewer and skewered. And if I'm correct, there's some sort of spice. Sorry, our chef is not with us. But I wondered as well. But it's basically skewered chicken with spices on it. And it's taken off the skewer and put into a sub. And from what I've been told, it's very delicious.
I want you to know that I gave them a recipe this afternoon for grilled Portuguese chicken,
Oh, Henry Souza, huh?
the Big Joe sandwich. Just one other thing I might point out I want to emphasize here is I know that there was another neighbor who mentioned to me, I get more new phones that way. There was another neighbor who
I told you not
mentioned
to
to
put it in your
me
pocket.
that he was concerned that prior operation apparently had a number of motorcycles coming and going, and do know that there will be a sign posted at the door that motorcycle colors are not allowed. My clients want to tell you straight out, they're not trying to operate any kind of a biker bar here. It just will not be tolerated.
Okay.
They, of course, I mean, you can't control if one person comes in and they're not wearing colors and they leave and they have one of those, what I believe to be, and the chief has left, but I think he could have told us, but there are people out there who operate motorcycles that do not have legal exhaust systems. And just want to fit into the community, just want to start and run a good business and be a good citizen, corporate citizen in the town.
Yeah, we've, like the revolving door syndrome we've been talking about, it would be nice to have someone get there established and stay there for a while. One thing in the future, if you ever get the opportunity, when you're really successful and you're going to redesign that whole parking lot, is coming in up with a way to get it kind of confined more. It's so broad in the width, and when people come and go out of there, it's kind of scary at times, the way that people have to come out on top of that hill.
I think if you lined it correctly, that would fix that problem. It's funny you say that because I noticed that today as well when I had to stop over there. I agree with you. It just needs to be realigned with the parking spaces.
Okay. Anything else? Yep. Anyone in the audience want to speak in favor or against, or Mr. O'Reilly, want to come on up? Come on up, please. Ron? People at home want to see you and hear you, and
I just have, are there any plans to expand outside the existing building?
Besides landscape.
thank you.
Yeah. We want to clean it.
We want to, yeah, we want to clean it up.
Where is the patio area? Is it there now, or is
Oh,
it
yeah,
something you?
yes, it was there now. It's, I examined the previous license that was issued. That hasn't changed. It's exactly as it was under the
So
previous
make sure
licensee.
that that's in the license, the size
Yes,
of that.
yes. As a matter of fact, I think it mentions in the application somewhere, it should mention that the patio is, I'll be wrong if I don't look, but I think it says that it's 48 by 50. This was the previous license, and it does talk about the patio.
Okay.
The patio will be used mostly for smoking. Is that the smoking area?
Exactly. And I didn't know if you want the return receipts from the certified
Yes.
mail.
Thank you.
And I have copies of Ms. Lutz's tip certification. I have multiple
Good.
copies if you want that.
Yes.
And I have more copies of the menu in case members of the public
Yeah.
want that. And that's pretty much about all I have.
So you're mostly burgers, hot dogs, chicken tenders, and some grilled chicken, meatloaf sandwiches, kind of comfort foods for the most part, huh?
It's a preliminary menu. To start with, yes.
Peanut butter pork skewers.
No, we have a creative chef, so we want to see what works. We want to make sure that we have traditional dishes for, the type of atmosphere that we're going to have, and we want to expand on that, like Mr. Souza said. We've been in the business long enough to know that a lot of things fail, and some things work, and we want to make sure we find out what sticks before we really make a permanent menu.
You're going to have pizzas also.
Yes.
You're going to be making deliveries, or maybe later?
There's always those delivery services.
I'll give it a try.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Salvo?
I just have a question. Excuse me. I just have a question. What's your projected date to open? You're looking to,
Oh, we're gonna have to wait for the BBC. You have to say.
As soon as the ABCC manages to hopefully review an approved license that you forward to them, I've urged my clients to, think hopefully around May 1st. I think that's a reasonable target date, but one never knows with the ABCC,
Can be
as you're
slow.
well aware.
can be slow.
If
Ice
they're,
cream in
if
the
they're
summer?
slow, May 1st. If not, it might be June 1st.
How about ice cream in the summer? Thought about it?
Not yet.
Mudslides.
There you go.
Yeah.
Can make them.
Anyone else in the audience have any questions or concerns or anything? Anyone on the board? Make a motion to
Close the hearing?
close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further, anyone? All set? Okay, Chair, entertain a motion to approve the license for C336 Toth LLC DBA Norton Tavern on the Hill. Manager Cheryl J. Lutz for a common vicular license to expose, keep for sale, to sell all kinds of alcoholic beverages to be drunk on the premises at 336 Old Colony Road, Norton, Massachusetts, 02766.
So moved.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Salvo?
Yes.
Mr. Bramwell?
Yes.
I do vote yes.
Thank you very much. My
very
clients,
much. Thank you.
I'm sure appreciate your confidence in them, and I know they will try not to disappoint anyone.
Sounds great.
Have a good evening.
Let us know how you're making out up there, okay? Feel free to any time to come back and tell us how things are going.
Right?
Feel free to come in and visit us.
Oh, we'll do that.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Thank you so
Definitely.
much.
Ask for the Big Joe sandwich.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Yes, sure.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good luck. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
11 to 1 and 10 to 1 Saturday and Sunday, right?
Yeah, that license is for 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. on during the week, 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday. Okay, next on the agenda, we have the application of Jason P. Dahl for the Fork and Bib for a mobile food cart truck license to be utilized at 33 West Main Street, Norton, Massachusetts.
That's mine. That's mine.
Mr. Dahl, how are you?
I hope to be better after this meeting.
You got everything all straightened out over there?
So far, so good, yep. There were a couple hurdles with the fire department, which I actually corrected him already and communicated that to him. And so the last thing was I haven't purchased the food because if I was denied the permit tonight, I would have a cooler full of food and I'd either have a party or I would lose it all. So the Board of Health is meeting me next Thursday actually at my house just to, ensure that all the food's still under refrigeration.
Did you purchase a vehicle?
I did. I actually bought a truck and not a trailer just because I was unable to tie into power, so it's just easier to be mobile so I can move back and forth to make sure everything's under refrigeration. But brand new kitchen. It's an older vehicle, but it's a USPS truck. So
Nice.
it's beautiful.
What are your operation, what hours you going to be down there? Any idea in your hours, what you're going to do?
So again, like I said before, I'm not going to leave my full-time job at Sturdy, so my hours are going to mimic Boggs. So it's tentatively, if I have something going on at Sturdy, I will not be opening. So the plan is to do 5 to 8, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday 12 and 7, 8 o'clock.
Okay.
I say tentatively because obviously if people want food, I'm not going to turn them away. But I want to be in bed by 10 o'clock. I wake up at 4:30 for work, so I get 6.5 hours sleep after a 14-hour workday. I'm okay.
Good. Anyone have any questions? No. Everything seems to be in order. Where did you decide to place your vehicle? Is it going to be like near the door where Bog Iron is now, or further in?
Yeah, so we're not all the way quite towards the back. I probably had more meetings with Brian than I want. We've conferred on probably 6 different locations, and we were able to agree on one of them. So it's pretty much going to be right at the back, right before the cut-through.
Okay.
I'm out of the way of all the, people exiting, Bog Iron and,
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Salvo.
are you going to have a sign out there so people know they're out back? Visibly, people are not going to know you're there because of your location where you're at, and I want you to be successful. We don't want you to be in the woods. I don't think it's fair to you to spend all this money to not be access to people knowing you're there. So,
Sure.
Is they going to allow you to put a sign out front to let you know that you're out there, or is this just going to be a word of mouth thing till you get 100 customers in the next 60 days?
So, if we were to open tomorrow, there will not be a sign placed there. I know that there's a separate permit to have signs on the street. I don't even have a vehicle wrap on it yet. I've actually sunk quite a bit of money into this, so just getting open is the main goal. And we actually have a pretty good following on social media. I'm active in the community, Attleboro, North Attleboro, Norton. So the word of mouth is out there. People are very much anticipating it. I would like to put a sign out front at some point, but I think I just want to get open and stop the flow into the business and start money coming back into it. But it is the goal, definitely.
Even if it's a folding sign,
Yeah, just a temporary.
small, something that it doesn't require a permit, it'll just say, whatever, hot dogs or a steak sandwich or something like that. You can make it so that it's under the sign requirement that you take away every day with you when you go home.
Oh yeah, I'll look into
Like
that.
that. I want you to be successful. You're spending a lot of money, and it's not fair, to go someplace and not be able to be seen, so.
Yeah, I'll definitely look into that. I actually didn't inquire too much about what the permit entitles, just because there was a few unexpected permits I had to get for the propane and the Corey background check, so I wasn't really anticipating them. So I definitely will look into it. Thank you.
Anyone else?
just if I could say, Jason has received approval of restaurants in the area as we require for mobile food carts, and also under our new fingerprinting bylaw, he did went to the police department and had a complete background check done, so.
We also have a letter here from the landlord stating that he has authorized Mr. Dahl to use the location to 33 West Main Street. Okay. I think everything's pretty much in order. Chair, entertain a motion to approve the application of Jason D. Dahl, DBA, the Fork and Bib, for a mobile food truck license to be utilized at 33 West Main Street, Norton, Mass. 02766.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? One thing, you're gonna have any seating out there, or you just pretty much go to the window and that's it? Okay.
That's it.
All right.
I mean, maybe in the summer have picnic tables out back, but I'm not sure how that's going to work because nobody's really going to want to sit next to the dumpster. That's not the goal. The goal is to just open and
Okay.
take out.
Okay. No further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you all there.
See you down there.
Good luck.
Okay, let's go back up here to new business. Review of town meeting and special town meeting articles.
I provided you with the draft warrants for the special town meeting and also the annual. And also tonight, I gave you a copy of the capital plan that will be going to the Finance Committee on Monday night. Capital Committee had a meeting last night and voted on the plan.
You want to talk about any of it? Or?
Yep. So what we were working with at Capital is that we have a beginning balance of $978,403. And so the first thing we wanted to look at was staying as close to maintaining around $300,000, which we've done for the past few years to make sure we have some money going into the fall. Next thing we looked at was payments that have to be made, payment 205, 305, 405, whatever. So we knew we had to do that, so then we took that off. And then started looking at the items and priorities. And under data processing, our server needs to be upgraded here, so that is $51,000. And the police department needs to upgrade the software that they have right now to go to IMC, and that'll be $81,000 for that software upgrade. The other towns that we're joining with through the regionalization, Mansfield, Foxborough, Easton, all are on IMC right now. The software we have is with a company that is small, and we're very concerned that it may not be existing in the future. So this would be the time to switch that over. The next item is repeater replacements. They have some areas in town that they're concerned about, that they lose their signals, and so this would complete the triangle so that they have better service. The next item under conservation is as we purchase Camp Edith Reed, we're setting aside some money to look at any work that has to be done on the buildings, the bunkhouse, the garage, that will remain, and also to fill in the pool. And the house we hope to get rid of for free, so we hope someone will purchase that and take it away. So this will help with that. The police department put in a request for 3 cruisers. As we've done in the past, this we'll fund 2 cruisers right now, and then we'll look again in the fall to see if we have more money, we can purchase a third. They're on the ongoing program to keep replacing them rather than be putting bad money into them. Portable radios, this has been a 5-year program to continue to replace radios, and that'll be $19,700. And also they have to do some work on their floors in the building, and that'll be $10,000. Under fire department, $105,000 will be for new monitors and AEDs, and that'll come out of the ambulance account. Their hovercraft that they have right now has gotten old and barely usable, and this would replace the hovercraft at a cost of $75,000, and that also is out of the ambulance fund. Some equipment for the fire department, JAWS heavy rescue equipment, and that's $20,000 out of the ambulance account, and some equipment for the dive team, which is $20,000 out of the ambulance account. Another program we've been continuing is replacement of turnout gear. There's a concern the turnout gear is only good for so many years, so rather than replace them all at the same time, we're continuing a program to do it each year, a few of them. So this would be 18 sets at $49,500. And then we need a pumper replace, and this pumper replacement would year 1 of 5 at $99,000. And those two come out of capital. The next page is, on the top is requests from the school department, and we asked them to prioritize their requests, which they did for us. And under the school department, special ed vans, this would be the 3rd year of buying a van at $35,683. Some more security cameras at $25,000, and this is district-wide. And interior doors, door handles and locks at $25,000, making sure that all the doors are able to be locked inside when there's a lockdown. And then the 3rd year of a 3-year program to replace the tile, install tile, excuse me, at the Norton Middle School for $65,000. And then the highway department, payment 4 of 5 for the backhoe at $28,000. A new pickup truck with a plow for $50,000. 2.5-ton 6-wheeler with plow. This would be payment 4 of 5 at $31,000. And the Holder utility tractor 2 of 5, $33,000. So the total of all those items, $941,883. And then the next item is underwater, replace their service vehicle with a 4x4 with a plow, $53,275, and that will come out of the water account. So the funding that we propose, the total for everything is $995,158. $52,275 out of water surplus, $220,000 out of ambulance, and $721,883 out of capital.
Any questions? As your rep to the Capital Improvement Committee, we took this very seriously. There were a lot more requests that we obviously couldn't fulfill. Our one main concern is the availability of funds in the fall to replenish some of this money. And I know I was concerned about whether or not we're going to be able to actually backfill this in the fall based on the initial early projections on what our numbers are going to be next year. And I'm sure Mike will talk more about that, but I think this is the best, the meanest we could do for the time being, and we can always come back in October and take another look at it if there's anything else that pops up along the way.
Excuse me?
Yep.
On the renovations at Camp Edith Reed, has anybody done any kind of assessment?
Yep. Yeah, we got a list somewhere. It's, there are 2 roofs involved. She gave us a detailed breakdown. There's 2 roofs involved that she wants to replace. One on,
Are they leaking? They look,
well, we're still not sure on that yet. The pool we know is gonna cost a certain amount of money, and the house a certain amount of money to fill in, but the original request was for $26,050. She has filling in the 20 by 40 pool,
Filling it in?
filling it in, $6,750. Replaced roof on the garage, 576 square feet for $1,800. Replaced the roof on the lodge, 2,422 square feet at $7,500. And demolished the existing house at $10,000. Now, if we can sell the house and get someone to move it, you know, there'll still be some demo left, but not a lot.
which house are we talking about?
The one up by the street,
Okay. Well, the entry,
yeah. Caretaker's house, I think they call it.
yeah.
Any other questions?
I think that was a house that was moved
Oh, really?
intact, so.
We're gonna try to move.
I
try to
know,
move
but
it
I'm
again.
saying it would lend itself to
Yeah.
being moved.
You
Because I
think, in your
think,
backyard?
I'm pretty sure it was just placed on the top of that foundation.
I mean, if you look at it, it's actually pretty easy to move, you're right. If the
Yeah.
foundation's
I
sitting up
think
on the ground, you
yeah.
just pull a truck underneath it and drop it.
Yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure it was
Yeah.
delivered.
With the one that come out of, so, North Washington, or did it come out of
No.
that?
No, it's brand new.
Oh, you're talking about a modular home?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, that's pretty neat.
In the last sheet you have is reserved for articles. Do you have that sheet with that? Okay. And the committee did vote last night to support the article on the special from the library for replacement of their HVAC system, which will be borrowed, and it's $450,000.
My understanding that the library plans on closing for 1 month so they can install the new system.
Yeah,
It goes on the second floor.
Yeah, they will be in operation certain days, where they can in the library, and then they're gonna look to do things, around town.
Any other questions about capital? Okay.
And I just gave you a draft of where we are on the revenue and expenditure sheet. Still working on the numbers. All we've put in here right now is a 3% increase in general government, a 3% increase in the schools. And that would provide us with a balanced budget. Some of the things we're looking at, obviously, is we have articles on the warrant that may need funding. And I just heard today about the Bristol Agricultural new building at $100 million that we're all going to get assessments for. I called the superintendent and I never got a call back. I haven't received a number yet, but the one I did see would be a $70,000 assessment to Norton. Go down gradually over the next 30 years, but that's where it starts.
You know, I went to the FinCom meeting last night, and, you know, there was a lot of frustration there. I don't think any of us that are paying attention to what's going on in town are surprised by this year's deficits, the kind of shortage we're expecting. We proposed the override last year. It was pretty clear that last year we needed it, the second year. This particular year is going to be even tougher. We were anticipating certain problems to come up. I know the school committee requested just under $3 million, which was around 12% increase.
12.
And we only have 3. So the heat started early yesterday with the FinCom. And I think what I'd like to say publicly, a couple of things. First of all, this is going to be a long process. We're going to have to make a lot of changes to the process. And we have to treat each other with respect and understand that if the Board of Selectmen or a member of the Finance Committee or School Committee or any of us have any concerns or questions, we have the right to ask those questions. And the more transparent we are, the better off we're going to be. Now, last week I brought up about closing a school. It was only for discussion, because we're going to be asking for money possibly very soon to build a new town hall and a COA building. And the first question I'm asked when I mention it is, what about one of the schools? So that was brought up for discussion. It doesn't mean that I support the idea. It was brought up so we could transparently sit out here in front of everybody and talk about it. And it's obvious to me now that the schools do not want to release a building, and they have a use for it, they have a need for it. I'm fully okay with that. But if I have something to say, I'm going to say it. And you know, people aren't always going to agree or disagree with me. Sometimes I don't agree with myself. But the problem is, we are going to be having some very strong conversations in the next few weeks. And we might as well get used to the fact that we're not going to have the money we want to have, and we might as well get used to the fact that we're all going to try to get our piece out of everything that we possibly can. I know on the town side, I've been very strong with the town manager saying, we want a full-time secretary in the selectman's office. We don't, selectmen, the five of us, don't have anyone to go to other than the town manager and the assistant to the town manager, and their job really is to be doing what they need to be doing to run the town. We have opportunities or projects or something going on where we want assistance. We have to go and ask these guys to help us. And it shouldn't be that way. We should have our own designated person that we can have available to us to make phone calls or whatever. You know, that some of us don't have the time to do it. It would be nice to have that. We've lost our full-time recreation. We don't have a tree warden anymore. People are complaining about their trees falling down everywhere. Well, guess what? We don't have the money. It was cut in 2007, 2008. We never put it back. We've got shortfalls on the town side. Even going into this, we're doing some level funding without really replacing or adding anything to it, just basically paying for what we have to pay for. So it got kind of hot last night, the FinCom meeting. A remark was made that angered me about, you know, oh yeah, we need a new town hall, but we have to close our school first. You know, that's BS. Let's pay attention to what the real details are, and let's focus on how we can make it better. And hopefully somewhere along the way, maybe between now and the fall, we can come up with some money that we can put back into the budget come October. The downside to the school side of it, and I totally get it, is they have to notify teachers if they're not going to replace them. And they have to notify them before June. So it puts them in a real hard spot, because they can't anticipate, oh yeah, gee, well, I'm going to get some more money in October. They can't anticipate that. They have to use whatever money is available to them, and that's the best they can do with it. We can add and take away as we go along, but we do have some problems on the town side. I was talking to a guy the other day. We were talking about the inspection department. You know, that could be one of our number one moneymakers in town. But we're so short-staffed that I know for a fact, people come in, there's no one there to help them. They don't fill out an application. They don't give us the $35 to put in a new window, a new door. They're not doing that the right way. They're just going home and doing it, because we don't have the manpower up there all the time. And let's face it, there's inspections going on, and there are lunches and all this stuff happening. But you know, how much revenue are we losing because we don't have someone else in that position? So this whole process is just beginning, and it doesn't look very good. When you start talking about new schools, Bristol County agricultural schools being assessed, and these are mandated. These are like, they just come right off the cherry sheet. We don't get that money. We don't have any discussion about it. It's just taken right off. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I'm going to have some opinions, I'm sure, and I know I infuriated the people on some of the social media sites about even suggesting we close the school. It was only a question. It needed to be brought out. We needed to discuss it. In my opinion, now is not the time to be talking about it. The enrollment is dropping. It was an honest question. And I guess I caused some commotion. That's why I'm not on social media sites. And that's why I don't even bother to go on to them. But the problem is, we are going to be faced with some major decisions here in the next few months on how to continue to run this town. And I don't think anyone on this board's got the the ambitious initiative to start an override question, but I know I'm not. We have to live within our means, and that's what we're going to do. Mr. Units?
Mr. Chairman.
Bob, sorry.
You know, into Bob's defense about closing the school, I think that how it was presented, people mistook it the wrong way. I don't think they heard the whole question properly, and it turned into, we want to mix the public with the schools, and that's not what we were talking about, okay? We were talking about taking over the front half of the school for a town hall and giving them the classrooms in the back, which would be no, interaction with public to that part of the school. So I sit here and I read social media and I get aggravated because the finger pointing of all that's happened in the last 30 days, whether it be National Grid or it be this or it be that, starts pointing the finger at the selectmen. We need to change some people in there, and we got to start new ways of doing things, and this, that, the other. And for the people that are listening, and I hope you do listen, because I'm here to express myself, because there's so many different organizations and committees in this town that are looking for volunteers to get involved. And I think the people that need to get involved, to know what's going on, come to one of our meetings, come to a town meeting, and listen to us express ourselves to what's really happening. I think everything's being misinterpreted over social media from one person to the next, and then before you know it, you got 200 people fighting back and forth and trying to answer questions that weren't even in the question to begin with. So we're trying to do everything we possibly can for all the townspeople and every board in here to try to, fund it properly and just try to survive. So.
And I think the other narrative that got kind of confused was the perception by some people out there that we wanted a school to close so we could have a new town hall. We have land behind us here to build a town hall. It was only that what I talked about was that we have 758 less students. It's never going back up. It's going to keep going down. And maybe we're seeing that the schools had a request of $3 million this year. So obviously they need money to sustain themselves the way they want to sustain themselves. Well, maybe they could sustain the programs they want if they weren't maintaining one building, if they were able to close a building. Maybe they can't do it right now, but they better seriously start thinking about it in the future if this is what they're going to present. Now, if they wanted to be realistic and present a 3% increase and then say, these are things we would like to see, and I emphasize this every year, and it's ignored, my feeling is that would be the way to present your budget, rather than present a $3 million increase and then have everybody in town saying, oh no, here we go again, we're slashing the schools. We're not slashing the schools. That $3 million increase is a wish list. And they can get mad at me for saying that, but the superintendent knew in September that 3% was the realistic number. So start with 3% and say, with 3%, this is what we can do. But if we had this, we could do this. And as I told you the other night, coming from a town that has experienced the decline in students, it's going to continue. It's not gonna go up. I mean, just people don't have as many kids.
And one of the reasons I brought it up was, first of all, I want to be clear. I don't want a school for a town hall. I think it's time the town of Norton steps forward and builds something that we all can be proud of, that we can use by our own design, not trying to make it fit. We have come up with something we can utilize to make it right. So I'm not trying to take away the schools, but at the same time, in the back of my mind, and this is a question you guys are going to be asked very soon, is we're talking about replacing all the doors and windows in the three schools, and one of them happens to be one of the ones we're talking about. If we spend that up to $6 million, could be up to $6 million. If we spend that on these three schools, once we spend that $2 million on any of those schools, we can't use it for anything else. We have to pay it back. And we're never going to be in a position to pay that money back. It's going to be some matching funds. We have to come up with so much, they have to come up with so much. It probably needs to be done. There's no question. It probably has to be done. But, you know, in the back of my mind, while we're talking about it, now's the time to be talking about whether or not we're going to take one or not. And as far as I'm concerned, I was convinced by the end of the meeting that there was a use for the property. They had uses for it. I know they lease out some classrooms and they do some other stuff to make some money, and I don't have a problem with that. But overall, I want to be perfectly clear. I don't want one of the schools. I want to build a town hall that we can all be proud of, that we can utilize for elections, so we don't have to be asking St. Mary's to borrow their Paris Center. You know, we have a place where we can have town meetings perhaps, or a warm room when the power goes out. You have one centralized building that's used for everything. So everybody knows if you're in trouble, if you need anything at any time, the town hall is going to be there. It's going to be powered up and ready for anybody that needs it. So, you know, again, it's going to be a long process, but just the initial meeting last night with the Finance Committee, and Tom DeLuke was asking questions, and he had valid questions. And just the tone of it all right away shows you that it's going to be a long process, you know, to get through all this, and we're all going to have to bite our tongue a bit and just make it work. Mr. Bramwell.
Just to, kind of like a follow-up to Mike's remark about the school budget. It made me think about the capital improvement budget, and you look at the department requests, which would be their wish list, which was $1.4 million, and it got cut down by a third to like $1 million, just under $1 million. So basically, it's the same way. If they had presented it with these items, and then the others are extras if we can afford it, it's the exact same way, or the exact same thing, just in a different format.
So, you know, but when our town manager makes a presentation to the FinCom, it's not a wish list. This is what I have to spend, and I know this is what I want. You know, and it's not a question of, well, this is what I want, but this is what I really need. And I think that's what Tom was trying to get at last night. I know you need all this stuff, but tell me what you really need. You know, kind of an attitude. And I kind of got it. But even on the capital, I know the town manager made two recommendations not to support the Edith Reed and not to support the $25,000 for locks on the doors. And the committee said, no, we think that's important. So we're trying to be open-minded and trying to get some of the stuff in there at the same time. He agreed with it, but he didn't, you know, he was trying to be somewhat conservative because, again, we don't know how much money we're going to be able to put back later on. And I get it. That $50,000 may be needed in the fall, you know, for something else, so.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I get it. I get what people are frustrated about. It's about the kids. I understand that. Totally understand that. But I think in all reality, we need to find a way to start bringing these kids back to our school system that we're spending millions of dollars for. And we have a school system here, and we're diverting to other places that have education. We need to keep this money in our own town. I mean, we need to find a way of why is it that this is better than us? I mean, there's got to be a way that we can try to advocate to get these students back into the system.
Well, I think they're, in the conversations I've recently had with the superintendent, he is working on that. He is meeting with parents from, say, at the charter school, trying to bring them back into our system. That's something they're really working hard at.
And that'll help us.
Yeah, and special education is through the roof. Again, it's out of control. You know, that school committee has no control over who moves to town and how much money we're going to have to spend on the needs of their children. We have no idea. And our budget is eaten up by about 33% of the budget is special ed cost. It's staggering, the amount of money that they have to come up with to do that. And further on that, I get the impression, or I think I understand that some of the programs we used to send kids out to are now being done in-house back here. So they are bringing people back, and they are getting some of these kids that we can help in town, keeping them in town, because the transportation cost, Brad probably knows more about it than we do, the transportation cost just to move these kids back and forth is ridiculous.
It's hard with the special ed because you can run a program here, but you have to have the same age kids, and you can't mix older kids with younger kids, so it just, if you have a few that are in the same need, have the same needs, then you can do it, but if you don't, then you really have to send them out.
One of the things that Dr. Byetta alluded to when he was here is the fact that many of the special needs students and their special needs, you would think, when I was on the school committee, should be covered by insurances.
Yeah, right, right.
And instead of insurances covering, because a lot of them are medically related, and they're just walking away from it and dumping it on the public schools to take care of. And, I mean, the least the insurance company should be doing is at least splitting the cost or sharing the costs, because a lot of times you'll have medical-related special needs that it's not really as much, it causes educational problems, but it's not really an educational problem, it's a medical problem. And they don't do anything to help defray the cost.
I know before Dr. Byetta came here, I got rumors one time that under Medicaid, Medicaid, we had a lot of opportunities to get money from that fund, but we really didn't have anybody in charge of it, and they weren't paying much attention to it. And I heard him say at one of the meetings recently, it was over $800,000 now they're getting from that. That means someone's paying attention. So at least that's softening the burden somewhat, along the way.
They started doing, I can't tell you exactly when.
It's recent.
A number of years ago, they started. And at one time, they were able to back bill a certain number of years. And so the school was lucky enough to get a lump sum to cover, I don't think you could go back more than like 3 years or something like that.
Right.
But they did back bill the services that they could get reimbursement from Medicaid.
So I know they're taking advantage of any program out there that they can take advantage of. So.
But unfortunately, Medicaid is a medical insurance.
Sure.
But private insurance seems to be immune from schools being able to seek funds.
Right, right. What do you want to do on these? Hold off or?
On the special and the annual,
Yeah.
if you want, give you some time to look at the articles and,
You want to vote on the capital? Anyone have any questions? Capital, we can take care of that. The chair entertained a motion to support the request of the Capital Improvement Committee from the town manager.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You want to put numbers in there?
I'll say aye. It's just that in particular on the Camp Edith Reed, I just felt that it was premature to put numbers in without having, I mean, has the building inspector been down to check out these needs, or is it just
Next
conservation agent?
just the conservation agent.
I mean, that's my personal opinion. I think someone with building knowledge should have been assessing these buildings before we're gonna spend money on.
Did we have, we had an inspection, right?
Not yet, because we just got permission to go on the property.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Is that,
Hold off a week till we see what.
okay, let's hold off.
There's no rush, right?
Withdraw the motion in a second, and we'll get more information.
I'll withdraw.
And on the special articles, you want to hold off on voting on any of those, or you want me to go over them? And if
Yeah, so give us a chance to look them over.
Okay.
Come back.
And just
We're meeting next Thursday, right?
Yep.
So we can talk about this stuff next week.
And then we need to, you need to set the special town meeting.
May 14th?
Yeah. And request that you set the special town meeting tonight with, and open the warrant. And the deadline for submission of articles be 4 PM on April 3rd. And then hold the special town meeting within the annual on May 14th at 7:30.
Motion?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous, okay.
Thank you. ALI?
Next you got, AOI.
It's been a long time. I
It
met
has.
with the new mayor of Attleboro last week.
You and I met the last time, didn't we, with them? The last
You
meeting
did.
we had?
And he just wanted to know where we were, and so what it turns out is that the person from DEP that was in charge retired, and now a new person just was appointed, because I told the mayor we had the truck routes all worked out, where things were gonna be mixed, how they were gonna be mixed, how they were gonna be delivered. And so we were just waiting for the DEP to schedule a public hearing, and so that's the next step. So now we're waiting for DEP to schedule a public hearing on it, and as soon as I hear anything, I'll let you know.
I thought that, wasn't it Lopes was supposed to?
Yep.
I thought they had backed out and didn't want to.
From what the mayor tells me, no. So,
I think they changed the way they wanted to do it.
I know they're going to mix it.
Mix
at
it
their site
somewhere else.
in Taunton or Dayton, whatever it is.
I,
It's on the
yeah.
line. like-
I had thought that might have been the problem too, but from what I hear, it's still on.
Oh, that's what I had heard.
Yep.
But probably not officially.
Okay, on appointments and resignations, we have a number of requests to be put on the appointed to the Norton Historical Commission. We have the Norton Historical Society, we have the Historic District Commission, and we have the Norton Historical Commission. We have three different ones. The Historical Commission was down to like one person. There's only one person still appointed. And we've had four people step forward who requested to be put on the commission, so. We have a request from Joyce Marshall, Allison Keeney, Sharon Rice, and Bethany Jones to be appointed to the commission. I believe you have letters in your packet from each of them and their reasons why they'd like to be appointed. That would be a commission of five, which is where it's supposed to be, so. And it's been a long time since we've backfilled that position. It's been a very long time. I think Butch Rich was on there with someone else, and I forget who the other person is. On- not on there anymore.
Yeah, but he was on
He
it.
was on it, yeah. So,
Actually, he was chairman, I believe.
yeah, he was, yeah. So we're talking, Bob, about the Norton Historical Commission request. There's four. We have four openings, so. Would have any concerns about any of the candidates, or any reason why we shouldn't make the appointment? And then I'd make a,
I move,
thank you.
I move that we appoint Joyce Marshall, Allison M. Keeney, Sharon Rice, and Bethany Jones to the Norton Historical Commission.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. Under Selectmen's Report and Mail, Mr. Salvo, you got anything?
I do not, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I do. I want to make myself nominated to be a poll warden.
Who?
Poll warding. Poll, telephone poll warding. A telephone poll, what, Mike?
I don't think we have such a thing.
Mike, what did I say? What did I say to you the other day?
Never mind.
The hell are you talking about?
I thought you were
I know what
saying
you're talking
poll.
Not a pool. Just kidding.
Well, there's let's see, there's an old one out there that hasn't been backfilled for years. It's the fence viewer position, where once a year you're supposed to walk out and walk the markers
Make sure the fence.
of the perimeter of the town to make sure the markers are still in place. I don't think we've backfilled that one in quite a while. Anything,
I'll watch while he tries to find them.
anything on the report mail? Mr. Steele?
Nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Looks like we're having a notification from Southeastern Regional for $1,047,296 for their
They are coming to the Finance Committee Wednesday night. Monday night, the Water and Sewer Commission will be there to talk about their article for the special town meeting warrant for the treatment plant.
We're looking for an employment opportunity for a part-time planning zoning department secretary. Looking to fill a vacancy for 18 hours per week. Salary range is from $16.83 to $21.83 per union contract, and it involves evening work hours. Anyone's interested, they can send their application to Michael D. Units, Town Manager, 70 East Main Street, here in Norton, Mass. Employment application and complete job description are available at www.nortonma.org, and applications will be accepted until the position is filled. I think that's all we have on that. Under warrants and minutes, entertain a motion to approve the invoice warrant number AP 38 dated March 22nd, 2018, in the amount of $619,055.30.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. So on the next meeting agenda, so far we have the town meeting and special town meeting articles to review. I believe Michelle sent out a request to see if we can have photographs done at the beginning of the next meeting also. And anything else?
I might not be here. Serious.
We'll
I just got
Photoshop you in.
a call today that I might have to go to New York.
This is going to be our last chance to take a picture, so we're going to have to do it.
I'll take it for you.
We
used last year's.
I'll see what day it is, but I was called today that I might have to go to New York.
He photoshopped Tim.
We'll figure it out. Okay, so get a chance to take a look at the town meeting, the special town meeting articles. If you have any questions,
I do know
give
that
Mr. Yunus a call.
the treasurer will be here on, to have you vote and sign a bond.
That's right, yeah. Okay. Anything else come before the board? If not, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Unanimous to adjourn. Thank you.